Thanks for joining everybody and the conclusion of our month-end checklist series. I'm going to go ahead and share my presentation with you all and we'll jump in here. All right, it's been, I think, a 4-month series now. We're at the conclusion here in December, ending the year talking about liabilities. Just as a quick reminder of where we've been and what we're doing today. So we started off talking about how do we record our sales, what are some different approaches that different people take to do that, and how do we take care of things like cancellations or replacement orders, complementary merchandise that we issue, some of those more bespoke types of transactions that might be harder for us to account for. And then in October, we talked about fulfillment and deferred revenue and recording our cost of goods sold. So really looking at when things get shipped out, when we send our merchandise to our customers, what do we need to do to record all of that activity appropriately? And what are some different approaches that people take in that world? And then finally, last month, we talked about recording all of the fees, something that can be really painful for a lot of people, going to several different payment processors, finding all of these fees. How do we account for that? But then also, how do we reconcile the gross sales order transaction with a payout at the bank when there's fees being charged in the middle? There might be some chargebacks, some different things happening. And how do we actually get an accurate accounting for our cash in transit month over month? And then obviously throughout this process, we've been trying to highlight how Blue Onion can help you, no matter what your perspective on all of those is, whether you're doing summary level journal entries, whether you're doing order level transactions. We have a solution for most people in those situations. And so been talking through that. So finally today, we want to talk through actually something that we get probably some of the most questions on when we discuss our product with people, and that's around liabilities. So what do we mean by liabilities? Most often that really means gift card balances. So we're seeing what our actual liability for gift cards are and what's going on there. And then additionally, that can mean sales tax remittance. So Shopify or Amazon or someone is collecting sales tax at the time of sale from my customer. And then maybe TaxJar or Avalara or my accountant are remitting that sales tax out to the jurisdiction on the back end. And how do I know how much I owe, who I owe it to, all of those types of things. And so as we think through these liabilities, there's kind of 3 typical ways that we see people doing this. First is probably the most common that we see is summary journal entry activity kind of on a monthly basis on some sort of regular cadence. And so that might be you're taking all of the gift cards that were issued and gift cards redeemed and figuring out what is your outstanding balance based on the activity that's happened over the period. What we run into a lot is people find this information somewhat difficult to find in some of their upstream order management systems. And so we'll kind of here jump into our application in a bit and talk through how can we help you out with that. The one thing to note here is that they're not recording those individual transactions into their GL. They're having a subledger somewhere else or an Excel sheet on the side that's actually making these calculations. And then they do kind of a topside journal entry to record this activity on that monthly or weekly or whatever cadence they're doing that on. Kind of shifting to an extreme version. So that summary journal entry we'll say is kind of the middle point where we see a lot of people. A more hands-on and slightly more extreme version of that is recording individual transactions on all of this. So this is usually when people get to a more enterprise level of their maturity. They have a larger ERP system, candidly, to handle this, maybe like a NetSuite or a Microsoft Dynamics. And they're recording their orders by their order flow in a transaction by transaction level. And therefore their payments, and that includes non-cash payments like gift cards, but also the sales tax collected on each of those payments. All of that's coming in with an order by order level granularity. When that's done really well, that works out really great, and it's a super helpful way to identify exactly what's contributing to an outstanding gift card liability or an outstanding sales tax liability. When there maybe are some bumps along the way, it can become really hairy if you're dealing with a large volume of data to try to reconcile and figure out where things might have gone wrong. And then the third is kind of the opposite extreme, so periodic adjustments. So you're not really maintaining this on any regular basis. You're waiting until maybe like a year end or a quarter end, and you're making adjustments to your gift card liability to sort of just account for what you have out there and kind of putting that to some sort of adjusted account on the other side to record that. And so we see that pretty uncommonly, but we have run into it a bit where people aren't interested in maintaining what their liability is on a real-time or semi-real-time basis, and are more just caring about making sure that they have good quarterly or annual financials for audit or for investors or lenders to look at. So that's kind of high level what we generally see people doing. So how can we help? I want to jump into our app and kind of show you guys what we're able to do in this world. Here's the Blue Onion app. As we've seen in all of the occasions before this, our app is trying to be very intuitive, try to give you all of this information in a way that makes sense so that you can kind of adjust it into your workflow the way that it works best. So thinking about those three examples, the one that we out of the box really help to facilitate for people is that first one, the one where we're providing summary level journal entries that allow for people to make these adjustments on some sort of regular cadence. So I have this data looking over a year just because it gives me kind of the greatest flexibility to show you all of the different scenarios here. But we can kind of imagine that we might do this monthly and look at these adjustments over a more standard period of time, like a week, a month, or maybe like semi-monthly, something like that. So in our journal entries page here, what we're going to be able to provide for you are newly issued gift cards. So yes, we're definitely recording your gross revenue here, your shipping revenue and discounts and sales tax, which we'll come back to in just a second. But we're also showing you those new gift cards that are issued, any discounts specifically issued against those gift cards themselves. We also show you some exchange credit and store credit that might be issued or purchased with in here. And so this gives you that first step. Somebody's come in, they've bought a gift card on your website, and down here at the bottom, we'll also record for you their payment of that gift card as well. So really helpful there to just see that issuance. And as I mentioned, any discounts that are applied against those gift cards, we're separating out separate from the actual order discounts so that you know how to attribute those. One thing that I want to note here is that it's really important to use the native Shopify gift cards or Amazon gift cards because they are separate products from any of your other merchandise that you might be issuing. And so it's important to kind of note those as separate things. The next step is you might have people who are actually, they've purchased some items on a gift card, but then they've returned those items. And so there's a credit that goes back onto that gift card that has value that they can use again in the future. We're also going to provide that for you over that period of time. So here in our refund section, we're also going to show you the value that's going back on gift cards that are issued. And you can see here up above, we only have the native Shopify gift cards because typically those are the only ones that are available for direct purchase. That's the only one that's going to be directly issued by a purchase. But on refund, we're seeing a few more pop in here. So we have complimentary. So that's going to be when somebody's just issued a gift card with no transaction to create it. So generally those are of no value and it's like a marketing expense, something like that on the other side. We'll get to that transaction here in a bit. But also we're showing you maybe you have an integration with a return partner. So in this case, Happy Returns. Someone's purchased something with a Happy Return gift card. Now they've returned that and they're getting a refund back to that Happy Return gift card that they can use in the future. We also support other partners like Rise who might do reward gift cards or an ability to purchase gift cards through their website. And then finally, those Shopify gift cards as well. So here's that return back to somebody purchased a gift card and it's going back on there. I want to finish up gift cards really quickly in this section, and then I'll go back up to the top and we'll talk about sales tax too. But finally, in our accounts receivable section, and as we've talked about before, the word accounts receivable throws some people a little bit. You can think of this as really just cash expected. Where am I expecting the form of payment to come from for all the transactions that happened above? And so finally, we're going to show you all of the redemptions that happened in this period above. So what we're really saying is from the net of the sales and the refunds that have happened in this period, what is the gift card redemption portion of that? How much of this was paid on a gift card? And so here we're again showing you the breakout of those gift cards across the different types or styles of gift cards that you might potentially have, and showing you all of those redemptions. As with everything on all of these pages, everything's click through. You can then kind of go through and see the full detail on the gift cards that are actually being impacted here, or the transactions in which these are happening. So it's a very complete way of reporting this and really helpful for a lot of our customers. Kind of side by side, here I want to talk about sales tax as we go through this whole linear process through the life cycle of an order. So sales tax payable at the time of the order for both Amazon and Shopify, what we're going to be able to show you is how much sales tax did they actually collect on your behalf as a remitting agent to send to a jurisdiction, right? So with Shopify, you might have a system. Oh, sorry, I hit a button there. You might have a system that's going to collect that and remit it for you. So that might be Avalara or Techstar, or you might be using the native Shopify app and then doing that remittance yourself or having your bookkeeper do that. So here, what we're showing you is here's all of the sales tax that was collected on all of the different transactions by both Amazon and Shopify. Here in a bit, we'll get to some more complete reporting around that, where we'll actually be able to show you that by jurisdiction as well. So that's really helpful. That's kind of creating that liability from the start, right? It's saying, hey, when I got an order, I collected some cash from this customer that it's not really mine. I owe that from the day I got it to a taxing jurisdiction because I had that transaction with that customer and I have nexus in that state. So that's kind of first step in all of this world is on the originating transaction, what's going on with all of these gift cards or sales tax. At the time of revenue recognition, so when we ship things out, there's really not anything for us to do with either sales tax or gift cards. The payment has already happened in all of these cases, or the form of payment has already been selected at least, and sales tax has already been collected, and there's no remittance that's actually happening at that point. So we'll finally jump down here to the cash receipt section, and there's some more reporting for us to step through here in a bit. But I just want to point out one thing specifically with Amazon. So Amazon is, I think, always the remitting agent for sales tax for their transactions. So if we come down here in this section, and as a reminder, this is our cash deposited from all of our Amazon transactions. Here are merchant fees. For Amazon specifically, there are several other types of fees that happen, and one of those is going to be the reduction in our accounts receivable for the sales tax. So originally we said, hey, we have some sales tax that was collected from the customer. That's going to be included in our accounts receivable. So now we're going to back that out saying, actually, we're not getting that from Amazon. They're remitting that on our behalf. And here they're remitting that. And so that would be the reduction in that liability account to say, this has actually been sent to the jurisdiction that needs it. We don't have the same thing for Shopify because Shopify is not the remitting agent for any of these transactions. So we'll get to that here in a bit, but that would really be something that you would gather from a report from Avalara or Techstar or from your accountant on what are they actually sending out to all of these jurisdictions? What are they paying for our sales tax? We'll skip over our cancellations and get to our gift card section, and then you can see there's actually some supplementary reporting for some of these more specific relationships. So these gift cards section here is actually getting at some of the more balance sheet only kind of adjustments. It's not truly balance sheet only. We're going to give you an income side as well, but somewhere where there's not really a transaction, a sales transaction for us to tie it to. So one of those is going to be issuance of complimentary gift cards. So we talked about that up at the top when people were refunding back or using those as redemptions. But when those get created, there is no sales transaction to actually create that. So here we're saying, let's go ahead and create that gift card liability. I'll click through here and kind of give you a sneak peek on the gift card full reporting, which is going to get to that transaction level reporting. And that's loading. So here, this is actually, we're looking at all of the gift cards created in the full year of 2021, looking at that complimentary gift card source and seeing all of the different transactions. So here we can see this is the gift card ID. We're showing you, I'm going to jump over here. So here's the date created. Source is complimentary in this case because all we're looking at is the issuance of complimentary gift cards. The value it was originally created for, any redemptions that have happened against it thus far. You can then also see the order ID where that redemption has happened. You can click through there. That's going to take you to that order. You can see the details of that order. And then we're going to show you the expired balance. So in this case, you can see this is still not expired. It's still a valid gift card. And so then also the unexpired balance. So here's the remaining value of this gift card. Finally, over here on the right, we have the last 4 digits of the gift card. So if you need to identify that gift card specifically, we can show you this. We don't have the full number just because then everybody would be able to be redeeming other people's gift cards, and that would not be a good scenario for any of us. So at the issuance of these complimentary gift cards, what we're saying is, hey, we've got to get that liability onto our balance sheet, but we also need to record some sort of expense on the other side of this to show that we've issued some sort of value out to some people that we expect them to redeem in the future. And so generally that might be a gift card expense, it might be a marketing expense, like it's kind of to your discretion on what's the best account to use there. But that's what we're proposing. And then also on expiration, and here, again, this is something that you'll have to check with your jurisdiction on what the rules are. A lot of states have specific rules on whether you can record income when a gift card is expired, but then also the IRS has specific rules that usually contradict those. So for different purposes, you might be recording these values in different ways. And so at expiration, what we're telling you is, hey, here's all of the expiration, the gift cards that expired in their individual categories of types of gift cards. And then here's the income from that gift card. So again, similar to this issuance transaction up here, is there's no transaction for us to record this with. And so we're giving you an income from gift cards account to put that against, but it's kind of, again, to your discretion on how you want to do that. Finally, there are a couple of different kind of specialty type of gift cards that might be issued. One of those might be Rise.ai. So they're a pretty popular reward or marketing type of platform that a lot of our customers use. And so here, what we're showing people is they've issued a certain value of gift cards. Again, that's clicked through to the individual gift cards that are making up this balance. And then generally that's going to be a marketing expense on the other side or something like that, where you're either issuing reward balances or in some cases they do sell some, and we have some additional supplementary reporting that we can show you for that balance as well. And then finally, happy returns. So happy returns here, and this works very similarly for loop returns if they're issuing gift cards, or Returnly, who issues gift cards quite frequently as well and does like an instant credit where they're short-term gift cards and causes some complications. So we have specific reporting around each of those. Here we're showing happy returns, where these are gift card liabilities that are being issued for returns of merchandise that you have. So that's giving you the actual value of all of those gift cards that have been issued. In the case of happy returns, to create some sort of return of merchandise and a value for them to exchange in the future. So again, here's the full year of all the happy returns gift cards that have been issued. You can see the value issued, the redeemed, any expired balances, and any remaining unexpired balances. Again, ability to click through and see all the redemptions there. So very robust reporting for both the summary level transaction that we might want to do on a monthly basis that we're talking through here on the journal entry page, but also always giving you the full granularity of individual transactions. So if you are working at that level, we can help support that process. Great. So that's kind of the full gamut of like how we do those summary level journal entries and how we record that. A couple of other places that I just want to highlight where we have all of this information is cash in transit is a pretty natural place for there to be some overlap here, right? Is if we're trying to expect when and how our cash has settled into our bank account, we have to account for the non-cash transactions to be able to know how much is going to be cash. So here on this left-hand card, as a reminder of cash in transit from a few months back, here's all of your sales flow, your refund flow to get you to, hey, I had $9 million this year that came in. But then we're also going to report to you all of the non-cash stuff that happened. So this is a really helpful place to just see a summary level of, here's my gift card sold, refunded, redeemed, redemptions of exchange credit, issuance of exchange credit, store credit, different things like that. So that's a really helpful place to see this data as well. I also just don't want to gloss over the power of our just gift card reporting page. So this is that individual gift card level of reporting again. So it's going to show you a line for every single gift card that has been issued or is out there. And so the real power on this comes when you're starting to look at some of these filters. So natively, this is opening to a created at date in this period. But what I can look at is I could look at all of the ones created in this period, but also I want to know the balance as of 12/31. So what's still sitting out there as an expired or unexpired balance, and I can then scroll down here and say, oh, I have $53,000 of unexpired balance that's still outstanding. Or I could completely ignore created at, and I can look back in time, and I can say across all of time, and you can see here we have transactions back to 2019. Across all of time, what's my unexpired balance? Oh, that jumped up to 271. So it's a really great check on that liability balance that you might have on your balance sheet. And then again, order by order reconciliation, or not reconciliation of this, but order by order representation of all of this. So you have a solid subledger in Blue Onion that can validate all of this for audit purposes or whatever you want. In addition here, we can also show you the expires at. So we showed you that summary level journal entry of all the expirations that happened over the year of 2021, but we can also then maybe cut this down to the first half of 2021 and say from January to June 30, what were my expirations that happened? And so that's giving me all of the gift cards that expired over that time, what their initial value was, any redemptions on them, refunds back to them, and then the balance that expired during that time. So really powerful tool here that can look at gift cards from all different angles. As with everything in our app, this is all exportable to CSV as well. So if you want to do even a deeper dive on these balances, you're more than free to. The very last version of reporting that I want to show you around these liabilities is for our sales tax. So I'm just going to cut this down to maybe a more recent month and look at the month of December. And so what this is going to show us here is I'm looking at all orders in the period of December. Natively, it'll show you by state. You're also able to look at this by country code, postal code, sources, channels, different things like that. You can also bring in those values as filters as well. So maybe you want to look at state, but your state is actually Canadian, like provinces or something like that. So you could pull in a country code of Canada and then group by state, and that's going to show you the Canadian provinces, different things like that. So what's really great in this page is it is going to show you jurisdiction by jurisdiction, all of the different transaction counts, the gross amount of sales in that jurisdiction, as like broken out into orders and refunds, the net amount of sales and orders and refunds. And the reason we do that is different jurisdictions tax on the net amount versus the gross amount. All of that stuff is contemplated here. We're also going to show you the sales tax that was collected by these jurisdictions. And then finally, we're also showing you the shipping for those jurisdictions, just to highlight, again, also on orders, refunds, and then total, just to, again, highlight there are jurisdictional differences on whether you charge tax on shipping or not. And so we're trying to give you the greatest granularity on how some of these values came about, but also some ability that if you know your nexus state by state, you're able to use this information to calculate some jurisdictional remittance information if you'd like. One thing to just note here is this is only available for Shopify right now because Amazon is the remitting agent. We haven't really had much of an appetite from people to look at this information because Amazon's taking care of all of it for you. Cool. Just going to pause here and just check in on the Q&A and chat and make sure you have any questions or anything going on here. Great, looks like we're all good to move forward. So that's really the completion of showing you the app and all of the data that we have around gift cards and sales tax, and trying to help you manage some of these liabilities that might come up from being an e-commerce business. So I'm just going to jump back over to screen here. As always, we just want to highlight, we have tons of really, really great companies who are working with us and trust us to do a lot of this work with them. And I say with them because we always view it as a partnership. It's something that we're really committed to, is doing this together with all of our customers. And so here's a few of them, both great e-commerce companies and great accounting firms that we're working with. There are plenty more amazing ones that I see on the call today that we don't have up here, but that we really appreciate and are amazing as well. Finally, I just want to remind everybody, here are all the integrations and payment processors that we're working with. That's something that we feel is a pretty significant differentiator in what we're doing. I know we didn't cover a lot of this information today, but we have our custom APIs that we've built to all of these different payment processors, and we haven't seen anyone else in the market that's doing that. And so that really is a differentiator for us. Obviously, we're connecting to Shopify and Amazon as well to record this order flow and facilitate the processes that we were doing today. And lastly, as I mentioned, we want to be a partner with you, whether you're a customer or not today. And so if you want to book a consultation and learn more about us, we'd love to do that. sales@blueonionlabs.com is the best place to do that. If you just have accounting questions and you want to be an accounting nerd with me, I'd love to do that. So just email me. You can see my email there at the bottom. And we really appreciate everybody's time today. Thank you for being here. I hope you have happy holidays ahead and a good end to the year. Thank you.